How's it going, everyone? Cup of Anime Joe here. Back again to talk about another chapter of One Piece, this time 1163, titled Promises. So, like usual, I've got the chapter right here behind my camera. To my left, I've got some notes to go over, so you might see me glance over a little bit. Surely you're going to hear my keyboard clacking away as I change panels. But we ride. And on the first panel here, we have Emu Saturn. That's what I've taken to calling this strange combination. Because it's Saturn in his Gyuki form, and we can still see like his head and his little beady spider eyes and his horns coming out, but like protruding out of his back is Saint Emu Neurona, like this lanky shadow looking thing coming right out of the back of Saturn, and it is pretty weird. And they are looking down upon a group of Marines. And Emu's first words are such eyesores. And then they just start stabbing the Marines all in front of them. Now, I get that the Celestial Dragons view all of humanity as insects, but it does seem a little weird that they're also taking out the Marines. Like, those are your guys. Those are the people that are helping defend your rule, you and the other Celestial Dragons. It doesn't seem a little weird that you're just actively taking out your own guys? A little bad on morale, too. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. Saturn did something similar back on Egghead Island. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I understand the Celestial Dragons, because I don't. But it is just something that stood out to me. And we have some pirates who are like, it's going after the Marines. Isn't it on their side? And then Emu starts taking out the pirates too. And this guy's funny. He's like jumping. His mouth is wide. He's like, ah, crap. And he's got the treasure. Scratch that. Looks like it has it out for all of us. So Emu Saturn is just indiscriminately attacking everyone that's around. And so the Marines start falling back. They try and keep their distance. Roger, meanwhile, is talking to one of his crew members. I couldn't tell you who it is. And they say a very peculiar line. I do wonder if the official translation is going to be different than what we have here. But this guy's on the ground and he's like, this pain, it's oddly compelling. What does that mean? What is compelling pain? Like later in the chapter, a little bit of a spoiler, Rox gets Domi Reversi'd. So is it possible that when an individual is getting Domi Reversi'd, to them it feels like compelling in some way? Like maybe that's part of what makes the ability work, but Emu's not going to bother using it on just anyone in the field, right? So they're getting like the first part of it, but they're not actually getting the second part of it. It's strange. I definitely want to wait for the official on that one, but I am very curious what they mean by the pain being compelling. So Roger tells Gibbon to cover the rest of the crew, carry the treasure, hightail it out of here, and Gibbon's like, not this again. Don't do anything crazy, Roger. So they know. They've gone through this before. They've had scenarios where Roger's like, you guys get back to the ship. I'm checking out this action. Then we cut to Garp. I love Garp in this chapter. I love Garp so much. He's the GOAT. And he's just grabbing a Marine by the collar saying, what the hell is that freaking monster? And this guy's like, Saint Saturn just transformed. And Garp's like, one of the 5 elders, huh? This is my first time seeing one. What a fitting look for the head of those maggots. Great. So Garp views the Celestial Dragons as insects, as maggots, just in the same way that they view everyone else as insects. And I think that's great. I think that is a spectacular view through the looking glass into how Garp is. So the Marines are all freaking out, telling him to keep it down, but this is Garp the Fist we're talking about. He doesn't care. about what the celestial dragons or the rest of the world thinks. And so now we cut over to Rox D. Zebek confronting Emu. And he calls Emu the Rat King, which is very interesting, right? Is Rat King, is that just an insult? Like, is Rox just slinging some insults at Emu? Or is this like more literal? You know, so like I've heard that a Rat King is something to the akin of when a number of rats get stuck together and they all become one scurrying thing, right? I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what a Rat King is. And so, is this literal, right? Like, is Emu a conglomeration of different individuals? Is Rox referring to how Emu can spread their power out to others, such as the Gorosei and the Gods Knights? Or again, is he just slinging insults? So I'm wondering, I mean, if anybody's going to know about Emu in this world that's not the Gorosei, it's Rox D. Zebek. He met Emu, he was in the flower room, and we really don't know what information Davy Jones has passed down through the family that Rox actually had access to. So I think there's a very strong possibility that this is more than just a basic insult. Now, Emu says something pretty interesting here. He calls Rox Davy Jones. Now, we know Rox is not Davy Jones. He's related to Davy Jones, and Rox even says this, you know, you've got the wrong guy. I've never even met the man. But this makes me wonder if visually Rox looks a lot like Davy Jones. And because Emu is from the Void Century, from the era where Davy Jones is also probably from, perhaps what they're seeing is just Davy Jones, even though it's Rox. So I wouldn't be surprised if when we meet Davy Jones, they look similar to Rox. Kind of like how Blackbeard looks similar to Rox. Of course, they're related, so you would expect that. But that's kind of what I take out of this comment from Emu. And Rox says, that said, I believe promises are meant to be kept. Now, is he talking about a promise he made to Emu? Is he talking about a promise that Davy Jones made to Emu that has been passed down through the family? Based on Emu's response, basically saying this is why your wretched ilk must be expunged, I'm guessing talking about the Davy clan specifically, I get the sense that right here in this panel, Rox is referring to a promise that Davy Jones made to Emu. Now, we don't know anything about what this promise is or what it entails, but I have a feeling that Rox is effectively saying to Emu, well, now that we're here face to face, I, as a Davy clan member, might as well fulfill the promise that Davy Jones made to you all those years ago. And Emu comes in with an attack saying Moo's world remains incomplete. What have you not been able to complete after 900 years, Emu? I mean, I suppose it could mean that they want to eradicate the D clan as a whole, like not just the Davy clan, but all of the Ds. That could be a possibility. Maybe there's something else they've been aiming for this whole time that has just never happened. You know, like after Lily's blunder of scattering the poneglyphs, perhaps the Moo hasn't fully removed the history from the world. Like, it's still something people can get. You know, we even saw with O'Hara. O'Hara was able to figure it out in the modern times. Like, that wasn't super long ago in the grand scheme of Emu's existence. So there's still something or some things out there that Emu has not been able to accomplish yet, and that is leading them to say that their world is still incomplete. Rox, ever the Giga Chad, shouts, "This world ain't yours," and just cuts Emu's tentacle just clean in half, the one coming after him. Of course, we know that Emu's going to regenerate just like hit their underlings, but it is still pretty cool to see Rox's attack totally cleaving it off. And in comes Garp Chujo, basically saying, well, the Marines are like, what should we do? We should provide backup. And Garp's like, damn right we should. Move it. And they all freak out. They're like, wait, Garp, wait. Who exactly are you backing up? And he has the coolest grin on his face right now. Spoiler alert, Garp is not backing up Emu or Saint Saturn or the Celestial Dragons. Garp is fighting his bosses and backing up the rest of the group, which is so cool. And we'll touch on that a little bit more later once we get to his scene and the scene where he actually joins the fight. We cut away from Emu now to Monkey D. Dragon. He is just running through chaos. Pirates fighting pirates. Marines fighting pirates. People stealing treasure. Pandemonium. And Dragon's like, what is going on? What was that terrible shriek, which was probably from Emu? And we can see right in front of him is a Navy ship. He's running right towards it. He's almost there. I'll have them take the kid. But then he, by his gun, the gun on his back, is yanked up into the air. And here we get the confirmation that Captain John is the previous user of the Jika Jika no Mi, which is the devil fruit that Captain Kidd now has. And so, John was the first Jika, the damned one, which is the joke that Kidd is now Jika, the damned one. Nika, Jika, you see that? But yeah, it's actually the Jiki Jiki no Mi, and he bids farewell to the Rocks Pirates, so this is the point where he's going to turn on them, takes a big swig, and uses a move called Big Ida. And you just see the magnetism exude out from him, and all of the treasure just starts flying towards him. Everything that has metal in it is gold magnetic? Like, how much of the treasure is magnetic? Maybe he's attracting more of the boxes than the treasure. Obviously, he's attracting the guns. There goes my basement lights. So obviously, he's attracting the guns and all the treasure chests. But, this is One Piece. Maybe it's just all magnetic. He can attract all the treasure, too. This is how Dragon was lifted into the air. So then Gonzui lifts up his finger. Booger loaded. And we see Mr. Five's devil fruits, like the Bomb no Mi or something like that. And he can fling boogers and they become explosives. Silly devil fruit, but Gonzui has such a fire name. Sky Snake Red Cannon. And he one-shots Captain John. So I don't know if John just got snuck, like if he got caught off guard. If he's physically just not that powerful, maybe Gonzui is just a lot stronger. But yeah, you see him and he gets completely destroyed. All the treasure falls out of the sky. Dragon falls out of the sky. And Shiki is floating up behind Gonzui and he's like, hey, why'd you attack John? And Gonzui's like, you really think he'd split all that loot with us? Let me tell you something, Shiki. Each of those treasure chests, aren't each of those treasure chests worth at least $1 billion? And Shiki's like, a billion? And then he runs off, dude. And it looks like Gonzui's about to attack Shiki too. Like he's got his finger out. Like, I don't know if he's trying to stop him, if he's trying to attack him too. Shiki turns around with this angry look in his eyes. I just get the sense that if Gonzui tries to run the fade with Shiki, that he's gonna get destroyed. I do place Shiki in the stronger tiers of the Rocks Pirates, likely above Gonzui. So if they get into an altercation, this might be the beginning of the downfall of the Rocks Pirates as a crew, starting with Captain John. And then the dissonance just continues out from there. We know that with Rocks is Kaido, and Whitebeard. So those two are still ride or die with rocks, but the rest of the crew is starting to fragment, right? Then we then we get Garp coming in. All the Marines are trying to stop Garp, but it's not going to happen. No, you can't, Garp Chujo. That's one of the world's overseers. I'm telling you, I love Garp in this chapter so much. He's like, it looks like a pest to me. So I really do just love that Garp's view on the Celestial Dragons effectively matches the Celestial Dragon's view of everyone else. It's very spectacular. So now we have Kaido coming in. We see Rocks cutting up Ibu. And Kaido's like, save some for me, Rocks. And then Big Mom's flying on Zeus. Zeus at God Valley confirmed. How much does this cloud know? She's flying in with a sword, telling Kaido she's going to kill him. And here we get, very possibly, the most epic and powerful combo attack in all of One Piece. We've got Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Rocks, Roger, and Garp. And they all land signature moves on Imu. Like, Big Mom doesn't end up attacking Kaido. She attacks the same thing everyone else is fighting. She attacks Imu. We've got Galaxy Impact from Garp. We've got Divine Departure from Roger. We get a named attack from Rocks here. Pandemonium of the Abyss. Whitebeard using Shattering Void. You see his Guruguru no Mi right there. Big Mom single-handedly performing Ikkaku Sovereignty. And Kaido just says dragon, and he shoots a Boro Breath, but he hasn't named it Boro Breath yet, or no, that's the name. So he just shouts dragon and shoots a laser beam. And all of these attacks, all of this power, Conqueror's Haki just flying everywhere, like everywhere, shreds Imu up to bits. And they are completely and utterly unperturbed. Just regenerates back from the attack, which what this tells me is you just can't brute force your way through Imu. Like, not even Luffy, I don't think, is going to be able to just giant fist his way through Imu. Like, there is definitely specific conditions that must be met. Like, if Luffy is able to deal damage, it's going to be because of the Nika fruit. It really is. And perhaps one of the devil fruits that Rocks realized was necessary to defeat Imu was the Nika fruit. Maybe that is the legendary Elbaf fruit, and it made it out of Elbaf, and Luffy has it now. And so, like, it's possible that Nika is simply a hard counter to Imu and is actually capable of doing lasting damage. I think it would be cool if Blackbeard's Darkness Fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi, was a similar idea, where maybe it can also actually harm Imu. And so perhaps the two devil fruits that Rocks wanted were the Nika Fruit and the Yami Yami no Mi. And that might even be a big part of why Blackbeard knew, okay, this is the devil fruit I need for my plan to really succeed, is the Yami Yami no Mi. So Imu regenerates very quickly, mind you, like without even breaking a sweat. And then Imu releases a crazy Conqueror's Haki burst, knocking people out left and right. Pirates who are far enough away not to get affected, or maybe they're strong enough not to get too affected. It looks like this might be the Roger crew, so they're probably just fine. Talking about, is this Armageddon? You know? And Rayleigh's like, look alive. The treasure flew all over the place. Pick it up and hightail it out of here. He's got Shaki, but he's still telling the crew to pick up the treasure. And they're like, you never miss a beat, Rayleigh. And Rayleigh, I love this line, a pirate's priorities never waver. Dragon on the ground, saying that's intense. He doesn't have Shanks anymore. He's like holding a log or something. Something else is in his arms. Shanks has escaped from Dragon and is crawling towards the treasure chest and into the treasure chest. So now I'm really starting to think that Shanks got himself into the chest, and it ended up maybe being one of the chests that Rayleigh told the Roger pirates to loot. Like, they're not checking them. They're like, just grab everything and get to the ship. We'll see what we got later. And that might be very well how Shanks gets onto the Roger ship. That also means that it's possible Dragon does not get his devil fruit here in God Valley, but like, the chaos isn't over yet. And I do still think there's a good chance that he might get it here, because this is just one of the best spots available to Dragon to have access to powerful devil fruits. But like, the big theory that I was seeing in the community was Dragon opens chest has devil fruit, Dragon eats devil fruit, Dragon puts Shanks in chest. But now it's starting to look like that might just not be the case. And then we see Emu. Man, diabolical. Emu miraculously did not lose any aura in this fight, which is crazy. I love to see there's little bickering panels. Kaido and Big Mom are bickering. Kaido's like, it's too late to throw it up. And Big Mom's like, then pay me back, you fool. And then we got Roger and Garp bickering. Roger's like, my one attack was all it took to take that thing out. And then Roger's like, no, man, no, listen, it was all me. It was my attack that took that thing out. But, like we said, Emu's totally coming back. And then they see Eris and Teach saying, a branch of the Davy clan, the woman and her child, such dangerous lives must not be set loose. So they've been discovered. Emu has discovered Eris and Teach, and this makes Rox mad. He goes crazy. He's like, what are you trying to do? And he cuts Emu apart again, which, you know, we know isn't going to work in the long run, but he cuts him apart again. And Emu, still fragmented, stabs through Rox with his tentacles. And Rox is like, what is this? It doesn't hurt or even itch. And this is what I mentioned earlier. This is where the turn of God Valley happens. But perhaps that's why the Roger crew member earlier said it feels compelling, you know, because like Emu's attacks aren't always damaging in the traditional sense, but are meant to serve a different purpose. And Emu says, thou shall be the one to exterminate them. Go forth and slay your wife and child. And Rox is furious at this point, saying, that's absurd. What are you talking about? And here's where we get it. Domi Reversi. And Rox starts turning into a demon. So now I wonder, like, how powerful is Domi Reversi? There's going to be limits to it. We just don't know what they are. There has to be some way of preventing this from happening. Again, maybe it's going to go back to devil fruits like the Yami Yami no Mi or the Nika fruit. Perhaps they can counter Domi Reversi in some way. Perhaps being a devil fruit user in general can combat Domi Reversi, because we've only seen non-devil fruit users get turned. But like, if Roxy Zebek can get Domi Reversi, who can't? You know, there was a lot of thought that maybe the D clan, or the Davy clan rather, was immune to it. Well, that wasn't true. We saw that in the last chapter. Or that maybe somebody with really powerful will and Conqueror's hockey can't get Domi Reversi. Well, that's Roxy Zebek, and here we have it. And so this is crazy. And this is also what really kicks off what Sengoku ended up telling us, where Roger and Garp had to team up against Rox. Well, Roger and Garp have already teamed up here against Emu. But now with the Domi Reversi'd Rox going after everyone, their team up's going to have to continue. It may also continue to include Whitebeard, Big Mom, and maybe Kaido for a little bit. We don't know how long the rest of that group is going to last. This really may end up boiling down to Roger and Garp versus a Domi Reversi'd Roxy Zebek. God Valley's been crazy. This whole flashback has been pretty crazy, but God Valley has been absolutely wild. And while I do think we're heading towards the end of the God Valley part of this flashback. The flashback can't end yet because we still have to see all the way through King Harold's end. And with rocks getting turned here, I think there's a lot more credence towards the idea of Harold also getting Domi Reversi'd. And that being the impetus for why Loki had to kill Harold, was because he wasn't Harold anymore, he was a demon for Emu. And so I am very excited to see what comes next. Crazy developments here. I hope you enjoyed the chapter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments you'd like to share in the comment section below, I'd love to see it. Like and subscribe. And with that, I would like each of you to have an excellent rest of your day.